So recently I've started working on small engines, and I'm honestly very much interested in working on these than doing bodywork. I mean, what's not to love? These are small engines, very simple, until you know how to work on them. They're simple when you know how to work on them. If you don't know how to work on them, it's a learning curve, but it's not the hardest, because I've dealt with way worse than this. And for this one, it's a Toro Time Cutter Z420, right? I bought it from Facebook Marketplace, and I bought it for $400. And the owner told me, I asked him, what do you think is wrong with it? He said, the engine doesn't work. Or he said that the engine doesn't work, right? So like, okay, how do you know it doesn't work? Because not everyone is a mechanic, and not everyone knows how to work on any of these. So he said, when I started, it click, click, click. I was like, okay, all right, fine. So I was like, you know what? It's a one-cylinder engine. What's the hardest thing that could happen to it, you know? Let me bring it, let me buy it. So I bought it, brought it home, I took it apart, and just as I was getting to remove the head, I saw that there was a big crack on the side, which meant that I needed a new, at least a block. And because it's an engine that's made for Toro and basically almost all lawnmowers, the block was $300. Just a block, empty block, right? I was like, okay, you know what? Let me look for an entire engine. Engines on eBay, $1,000. On Amazon, eBay, other websites, they're $1,000, brand new. Or around $800, $700 for a used one. Now, like, that's gonna kill my profit margin. So what I did is I went out and bought another lawnmower. This one has the same engine, but this one came as a 19.5 horsepower, while this one came with a 16 horsepower. And because they're small engines and they're very simple, there was only one wire difference, the harness. It's not really a harness. We have a wire for the ignition distributor, two wires for the carburetor on the bottom, the fuel sensor, I think. And there was a wire that goes to the stator, which is the alternator. Now the alternator on these basically comes in two pieces. There's a stator and there's a regulator. Combine those two and you have an alternator. Same thing with the starter. You have a starter and a solenoid, and a starter solenoid. So you combine the two, you get a regular starter. But what's good about this one, you can replace the cheaper part when it goes bad, rather than, you know, like on a vehicle, on a car, you have to replace the whole thing. I know this video is getting longer, but it's not for everyone. So on this one right here, I bought an engine that had compression, but it wasn't right. So I calibrated the valves. They were too loose, because apparently for these engines, you're supposed to recalibrate the valves at least once a year or every 2 years. You need to recalibrate them so you don't have a catastrophic failure and you're not going to blow up the engine. Which is probably what happened to the last guy. So as you can tell, I replaced the starter, I replaced the starter solenoid, I replaced all the terminals on the positive and the negative. I put a new battery. This is the battery number 3 that I put on here. Apparently I was getting the wrong size battery because the last owner had the wrong size battery. So I needed 350 co-cranking amps, while the old owner had a 260, and even on that one he had a 280, a different guy, and he was complaining about how that started. Anyway, so finally got the right battery, finally got the right starter, solenoid and starter, and finally calibrated this. It took me a few times, but I learned it, and because I learned this at school. When I went to trade school, I went to be a mechanic, not a body technician. That's why, one of the main reasons why my name says mechanic, because that's what I learned, and that's what I became, partially. So after going down one rabbit hole to another, there's an issue with the wiring there. For some stupid reason, the old owner had the fuses out, like he sold it without these fuses. I don't know, maybe he thought he's gonna save some money on the fuses. So he took the fuses out. I did not know there goes fuses, you know, no fuses there. So I had to put some of my own. New starter solenoid, new battery, calibrated the valve, and new spark plug. And then when I started it, I had an issue. The alternator was only generating 12.2 volts, so it was not charging the battery correctly. Now, could I have just let it go and just sell it as is, you know, with 12 volts of battery? It's gonna take like maybe 2 or 3 times of starting it to kill the battery, right? But I didn't feel good about doing that, so I ordered a new stator. That should be here today sometime. Maybe I'm doing a little too much, but I wanted to sell it with 0 issues whatsoever. Zero issues. And this is what I'm doing. I replaced the clutch, I replaced the drive belts, I didn't replace the deck belt yet. I don't want to replace it. It's fine, it's perfectly fine. But I replaced everything that could have an issue. And the drive belts are fine. I'm gonna take the deck off and resharpen the blades just to, you know, give it, you know, a full once over to make sure that we're not facing any issues. And after I install the stator, it should be all complete. All issues are gone. Now it starts. Moment of truth. It either worked or it didn't. We need about 13.5 at least of charging voltage. We should be good to go. Fingers crossed. Let's go. Alright, now we're good. Bismillah. Oh. Why is it backfiring? Whew, that's loud. Oh. Okay, that was really loud. Let's see. Alright, so we're back to one of the main issues that we had before, except now it's backfiring very loudly, right? After everything I finished yesterday with this, I mowed the lawn. I had it running for, what, at least 30 minutes, you know? And after that, I was checking the charging system because that was my last step. I wanted to make sure that it's charging. And now, how could something change overnight? I don't know what's going on. But I did some research and they're all saying that it's the valves. The valve adjustments, right? They're up to spec. I mean, should be good. Let me try to start it while I'm recording. Choke is on. And this one's going to be loud. Yeah, it's like shooting a shotgun. Not a regular gun, a shotgun that might have been sawed off. That's how loud it is. You guys can tell by the look on my face, I've been at this for hours. And this portion of the video is for me. Hey Ahmad, don't trust this. You know why? These are weak and you might be over torquing some stuff, right? But what's more important is under torquing stuff. I finally got it to start. There was an issue after 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 an issue, right? And now it finally started. And apparently, if you have a bad exhaust manifold gasket, it doesn't start. So now let me do another shot because I had it running for like I made it run for like 2 seconds and then I shut it right off. I don't want to cause any more damage. But at least it started because I started thinking that, did I bend something inside the engine? Did I bend something inside the engine? Even though these don't have a timing case, they don't really have a timing thing. The flywheel has a little piece of lead. It's called the flywheel key. Basically, it comes in this little package. There's like 2 pieces of lead that weigh probably a few grams, right? And it was like $9, right? So I got that. Luckily, it came 2 in a pack. Those shear off if you don't tighten the shit out of the flywheel bolt on these. This portion is also for me to remember. This video is for you too, Ahmad. Remember that. So now let me give it a once over. Let me give it one more crank. Let's see if it's going to start right away. Because I already saw that it's leaking from... Somehow it's leaking fuel. Well, yeah. There's nothing to compress. So it could be a bad exhaust too. But it's leaking fuel out of where the exhaust manifold is. That's why I got the fire extinguisher right over here. And just give it one more crank. Let's see. What I'm going to do is I'm going to basically choke it with my foot. Or choke the exhaust with my foot. Problem is with these, this is a 2006. It's not that old. compared to other ones that I've owned. These parts are not easy to find. You can't just go to Napa and say, hey, can I get this? It'll be here in 5 days. I'm like, well, I can just buy it online for a fraction of the price, same brand, and we'll get it tomorrow. That's why we have, you know, I don't want to promote any website, but 2 days, 1 day delivery, we have that. Now it's working. The timing is good because, I mean, the valve adjustment is good because I just redid it the 18th time, basically. I know the name, but I forgot it. There's a magnet on the flywheel that works with this to generate the spark at the right time. That's why it wasn't working correctly, because the timing was off, because the flywheel sheared off the little piece of lead that holds it in place, aligned with the crankshaft. Oh yeah, I ended up tearing apart this old engine that failed. And yeah, I think this bent, which caused everything else to crack, basically. I got a few nice parts. Just looking at this, like a crankshaft with one piston, that's pretty interesting, you know. And yeah, from all of this mess, I probably have a good head, and there are a few gears in here that are nice. Might do something with them. I know it's already been a long video. It's been a long week working on this thing. We still have a charging problem. Follow for part 5. So finally got it to work. I know you're gonna see CarStar. I worked there a long time ago. I don't work there anymore. Alright, so finally got it to start. And now I'm just glad that it started, because we went from one rabbit hole to another, to another, to another, to another. And now I finally got it to work. I'll tell you what happened. Now this time, when I took apart the carburetor and cleaned it, I nicked one of the washers. Let me see if I still have it in my pocket. Nope. I nicked one of the washers, the O-rings, and I had to go buy a kit, an assortment kit. And I found it, and you just got to do some research. And what kind of O-ring you need is that's the word, Viton O-ring. It needs to be graded to work with gasoline, so it doesn't, you know, melt through. That was the reason why it was leaking fuel. And now after that, now that's completed, I finally found an exhaust manifold gasket, I guess. It's a muffler gasket. But the problem is I had to drive 30 minutes after driving for like an hour to find who sells it, because not everyone knew on the phone. So anyway, so I got the gasket, the carburetor, that's all fixed up. It's not leaking fuel anymore. It's not leaking fuel from the exhaust manifold especially. So we're good with that. Let me try to start it one more time on camera. Alright, moment of truth. Now the RPM needs to be at the highest, so you're not going to hear me. So it needs to be at the highest setting, so we can test the voltage that's going back to the battery. And let's see how many volts we got. Because the problem was that we needed at least 13 volts to charge the battery and maintain the battery level. So let's see, let's try it. This thing right here said there's no output. Found the culprit. This is a 10 amp fuse. Again, this didn't come with any manual, anything, so I just put a fuse in there, right? So this is a 10 amp fuse. The diagram calls for a 25 amp fuse, and this is definitely burnt, as you can see right there. And I got this kit somewhere. I can't even recall at this point. I don't know where I got it from. But I need a 25. I think it's the white one. So we need a 25 for the alternator. Just put that right in there. And for the... I forgot what this one is for. It's not burnt, but the second one goes to the starter solenoid. And that one needs to be green, which is 30 amps. So we got the green. Put it right in there. There we go. Alright, let me put the jump starter back on it and give it one more shot. So the number did improve. It was at 12.18. So the number did go up. But we still have a problem. Charging problem. Even though it's a new battery that I just got like a few days ago, it's good to do a battery test on it, and I used this top-down battery tester, and it's saying the battery is good. Charges at 67%. I need to charge it. That's pretty much it. And yeah, we got a good battery, but we're still not charging the right way. There's the wire right after the fuse, and it comes right into the ignition switch, and that ignition doesn't look so good. First I'm gonna try to clean it. Maybe there's something that's going on, and we'll try again. Since it started saying that it's charging low instead of no output, that means the problem is in the ignition, because after that little bit of cleaning, I didn't even take anything apart. I just did a little bit cleaning on the outside, like surface cleaning, and it's charging now at low output, but it's charging. So now I'm gonna take that ignition apart. Maybe I can. The thing is, I don't want to replace it with something that doesn't say Toro. Maybe people are not gonna like that. I want the key to also say Toro, unless I can find something that will run the same key at the hardware store. Let me try to do a little bit of better job of cleaning it, and let's see. Alright, moment of truth. I know I'm full of stuff, sweat, and other debris. Let's go. And we are finally at 13 volts. I think I'm getting poisoned from the smoke. Let me step outside for a minute. Although I have both garage doors are open. But still. Alright. So we got both batteries. See, it's affecting me. So we got the battery to reach 13 volts, which was our main goal. We're above, we're at 13 volts, which is great. It needs to be at 13.5, 13.46 or 7. But at 13 volts, I'm gonna say it's good. I'm gonna say it's good at that voltage right now. Why? Because I'm gonna disconnect the battery, charge it fully,